Okay, how about wide receivers, Jamie? The top wide receivers. You said Tyler Boyd earlier, so Julio Jones would be ahead of Tyler Boyd, but he just misses the cut. So let's say if we're not getting Julio Jones, if we're not getting Tyler Boyd, who are the next three?
You're not getting Julio Jones. You're not getting Tyler Boyd. I would go to Sterling Shepard because something's going on with Kadarius Toney, only playing 7 snaps. Kenny Galladay is Kenny Galladay, and Wan'Dale Robinson got hurt. And so Shepard, it's easy to say, look how great James Robinson was in his return from his Achilles tear, and it's awesome. But Shepard with a huge play down the field, looking explosive again, and we know the history with Daniel Jones there. So they didn't play a full allotment of snaps. He's going to end up being the Giants' best receiver by the end of the season. Then I would go to Jarvis Landry, who Jameis Winston leaned on him quite a bit. I think that was pretty impressive. Led the team in catches, yards, and targets. Now, obviously, Michael Thomas will probably take over that role, but Jarvis Landry, as we know, never goes away and will continue probably to be a factor. So like him second. And then the third option would be Josh Palmer. Again, if Keenan Allen's hamstring injury is a problem, and it's great that he's optimistic that he's going to play Thursday, he's probably not. So if this lingers, Josh Palmer is going to have a big role. Stepped up in one game last year without Keenan Allen and played. I know DeAndre Carter was the one that benefited, but if you look at just how they played those guys when they were in 2 receiver sets, it was Josh Palmer on the field. And so he'll be the one that benefits. Justin Herbert's going to lean more on his receivers moving forward. So Mike Williams will be a star, and Josh Palmer will get better days if Allen is not there.
Palmer ran more routes than Carter, too, after the Allen injury. Not by much, but both Palmer and Gerald Everett ran more routes than Carter. So I got to ask something.
Oh, yeah.
No Curtis Samuel, Jamie?
I would take Jahan Dotson over Curtis Samuel.
Once upon a time, you loved this guy.
I think Samuel's fine, but I'm not going to buy what he did last week and think that's a sign of things to come. I know the offense likes him, the coaching staff likes him. They brought him there from Carolina, but it's not going to be a lot of weeks where Terry McLaurin has 4 targets. There's not going to be a lot of weeks where Jahan Dotson only catches 2 passes or 3 passes, whatever it was, 2 touchdowns. Right. He was on the field more. McLaurin was on the field more. Samuel's going to be a nice gadget player. This might have been his best game in terms of his targets and catches. So if anybody wants to chase him, go ahead. It's not going to be me.
I'm sorry. Shepard, Palmer, and who? Who's your other in the top?
Landry.
3? Oh,
Jarvis Landry.
That was a weird one. They were throwing kind of downfield to him. He had a pretty high ADOT. I watched all of his targets. Good connection there with Jameis. That was interesting. I hope I didn't completely miss the boat on Landry, but I also feel like this will be the best game of his season. But
it might be. And look, Olave is going to have some better days ahead. But I think the thing about this is that we may, and this is why I think Jameis is the best quarterback to add if he's available. We may overlook the absence of Sean Payton and maybe freeing of Jameis Winston. Now, granted, the score probably had a lot to do with that. But what if they just allowed this offense to be a little bit more pass up tempo than what we saw last year? When Jameis was the starter. So I think it could be fun to see what New Orleans looks like. And Jarvis Landry is somebody I think you buy into.
I wonder if they do that when they're playing with a lead, though. When they're playing with a lead, I bet Jameis doesn't throw much.
Plus, Kamara got banged up. And Michael Thomas only played like 65-ish% of the snaps.
Right. He didn't get going until the 4th quarter. And really, Jameis didn't get going until the 4th quarter. But when they got going, they were both awesome.
One of Jarvis Landry's catches, maybe his longest one of the day, was, of all the plays I've seen, the worst coverage I've seen. I don't know if you saw it, Dave. Casey Hayward just let Jarvis, it was a big play, let him run right by him. Was pathetic. I don't know what that was. Wide receivers, check to see if MVS and Julio Jones are available. And players to add are Tyler Boyd, Sterling Shepard, Jarvis Landry, Josh Palmer. I think we spoke pretty decently about all those guys. Boyd, Shepard, Landry, and Palmer. Julio Jones is 66% rostered. What do you think his roster percentage should be by Thursday?
84.
I don't know if he gets added across the board in 10-team leagues. So I'm going to say it's probably going to be somewhere in the mid-80s. So a lot will depend, I think, where his roster percentage goes on what the projections are for him. Because despite what you said at the top of the show, people will still look at that.
Okay, Jahan
He also might get dropped heavily if he has a terrible game this week.
Julio?
Yes.
Yeah. It's not like he had a huge game, but he looked good. He looked good. Sorry. Jahan Dotson. Wow. I'm dying here. Jahan Dotson, DJ Chark, Robbie Anderson led the team in targets, had a 75-yard touchdown catch.
Somebody needs some liquid IV.
I don't have any water down here. Anyway, Dotson,
I'm sure the air in your house is great.
Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, Zay Jones, Kyle Phillips, Christian Watson, Isaiah McKenzie. We haven't talked about him. Devin Duvernay, Corey Davis, Greg Dortch. Are there any must-adds in the group that I mentioned, starting with Jahan Dotson and on down? Any must-adds?
I think we'll differ on the must-adds because it sounds like Jamie doesn't have Curtis Samuel like even in his top 5 among receiver must-adds.
No, he's I think 2 spots after Dotson for me.
Okay.
Dotson's 5. Who do I have 6?
I think I get it if you're thinking rest of season, but I know you're not. I think you're thinking right now with Dotson better than Samuel, like as soon as week 2.
Well, I mean, he played more.
Yeah, I know. But I think Samuel is going to keep this role for as long as he's healthy. He might be hurt in 2 weeks and it'll look silly. But for now, I'm buying into what Washington's doing. I think they're going to be able to do it again against Detroit. And I think Curtis Samuel's worth the ad.
I think he's worth that. But, I'm just looking at where his role is and what this offense looks like. Again, I just don't know if he's going to keep this up.
He's not a big play guy like Dotson's a big play guy. And Dotson, one of his touchdowns wasn't even a big play. I think it was a score zone touchdown. So inside the 10.
Dotson to me, and I know we've talked about this a lot this offseason. He when you start to see rookies get it, this is him not getting it yet. When he starts to get it, then these plays become not 2 touchdown games, but these plays become more consistent.
I hear you. I wonder if he is starting to get it though, because he was getting it pretty early on in OTAs with Wentz, and now it's starting to show up on the field.
I like it. He's one of the reasons I didn't draft Terry McLaurin. This could be a situation where these guys are a little frustrating, but they make Carson Wentz better than we thought. I'm not saying
both of them.
Yeah, right. I mean, all 3 of them, right? And plus Logan Thomas. It's really not a bad receiving core.